Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm It's Robbie Rhino, and in today's video I have 3 replays for you in the Object 477A MOLOT, and I believe that's how it's pronounced, and I just had a look and I think it's a translation from Russian to hammer or something like that, and it definitely is very strong at hitting people very hard on the battlefield. And I've only just realised I haven't actually put a video up of this tank on the channel. I believe when it was released I wasn't very well and I just completely forgot to do the review of the tank. So of course it's been in the game for a long time now. What is the tank all about? I'll give you a brief rundown. I'm sure pretty much all of you that watch the channel that play Cold War will know all about this vehicle and how overpowered it is, but for those that don't, it's a premium Era 3 Eastern Alliance tank destroyer. You have a 152mm caliber gun, which deals a whopping 760 damage per shot, and you also have a secondary 30mm autocannon with 200 shots per clip, 0.11 second intra-clip reload, with a reload time of 23.5 seconds, so that is capable of dealing 3,000 damage in 21.89 seconds. So in terms of the firepower, because you can use the multiple weapon system, you have a base DPM if you combine both the primary and the secondary gun of 7,599, and of course with an equipment and commander setup you can get that to a very dangerous level for a tank with such incredibly overpowered armor. Why haven't I done a video on it up until now, apart from being ill? Well, I didn't actually pick this vehicle up. I had it on rental to have these games, do a review. Unfortunately I became ill and didn't do them, and I didn't pick it up purely because I was kind of umming and ahhing whether it was kind of morally good for the game to actually get the tank, and I usually don't really care. I'll get the tank. It's their mistake if it's overpowered, you know, right, Wargaming putting it in. However, it just felt so easy to play. I didn't want to fall back on it all of the time just to get, you know, a win or something. If I'm going to get a tank just to have a laugh in, it's got to be a derpy tank, something really fun. This just feels too good, and it feels like you are cheating in a lot of the games. Would I pick it up again if it goes on sale? Yeah, probably. I collect the tanks. It's a massive mistake on Wargaming's part, and in these 3 gameplays I'll hopefully talk you through why it is so damn good. So we've talked about the firepower, pretty insane firepower. How about the mobility? Well, it's pretty mobile for a tank destroyer as well. 1200 horsepower engine, 75 forwards, 25 in reverse. Hull rotation does suffer, so you want to improve that with your setup at 30 degrees a second. And you have a limited gun traverse of 70 degrees to the left and right, and it only moves 34 degrees a second. However, it's not a hitbox because you can go hold down and there's nothing anyone can do apart from break your gun, because why that is a good idea I have absolutely no idea. You have 6 degrees of gun depression and 14 degrees of elevation, so yeah, incredibly powerful. Combine that with your 3,750 hit points, you've got the gun and firepower of a tank destroyer, the armor even better than the main battle tanks in Era 3, enough hit points, and you basically have enough view range as well. It's not fantastic, 505 meters base, you can improve that, and it can just do pretty much everything. So why is the armor so good, and why does everyone pretty much consider this tank to be overpowered? Well, of course it does have some weak spots, but even from the side it can just ricochet. Even single fire guns firing, you know, upwards of 700mm of penetration. It's only got 40mm of side armor, which means you can overmatch the side if it is at a slight angle with a 121mm caliber gun or higher. However, it's got an incredible amount of spaced armor all over the whole of this vehicle. I've just mentioned the turret isn't even a hitbox, so you can only damage the gun. And to penetrate the turret ring is a hard shot anyway to see it. It's 600mm, which is absolutely insane. The thickest part of armor is the sort of closest to the crew on the hull at 640mm of hull armour, and in front of that you've got hundreds of millimeters of spaced armour. So ATGMs bounce from the front, they bounce from the side, and yeah, you can't even penetrate the turret because it's not a hitbox. So absolutely insane. If you're firing at this vehicle and you have a 121mm caliber gun and you want to penetrate it, if it's at an angle, just go through the tracks, sort of the wheel arch into the side of the vehicle. You should be able to overmatch. Lower plate with high pen, right in the centre there's a thin strip you can penetrate from the front. Turret ring, if you're close up, you can shoot sort of down on it and penetrate. And yeah, get to the side and rear and it's your best chance. But even the side and rear, it just seems to absorb rounds absolutely left, right and centre and become increasingly frustrating to play against. And it just feels so good because whilst you're trying to find that weak spot, trying to aim your shot, it's put 760 damage into you with its 900mm of penetration. And yeah, it's ripping into you with its auto cannon. So very dangerous indeed with that 40mm of spaced armour. I'm just trying to find how much spaced armour there is over the side of the vehicle. I believe it is actually quite a lot. You've got 8mm, then you've got another 15mm, 20mm of track armour. So yeah, you're seeing how powerful this tank is. In terms of that gameplay there on Nomonhan, we picked up a victory, very casual, only a third class for dealing 11,096 damage, 868 assistance, 1845 block with 2 kills. A nice profit, of course, but in 6 minutes and 8 seconds, that's a third class. That's casual for a lot of the player base, and that just shouldn't happen, even though it's Era 3. It's absolutely mental. You can play like an idiot and still play very well in this vehicle. But that's it for the first game. We're now going to head on into the second gameplay and talk more about this absolutely mental tank destroyer. So we are into the second gameplay of today's video, and we are here in the Object 477A on Chaobang in an encounter battle, and we have spawned in the northeast, and it doesn't really matter where we go, we are a very powerful threat on any flank. And of course, I'm kind of exaggerating certain things about this tank, but the fact of the matter is, it really is just overpowered, and you can complain all you want about there being some places to penetrate this tank. That's kind of the whole point of this game. You should be able to penetrate every single tank, and you should have a decent chance frontally with every tank that this tank should come up against. However, you just don't. In some tanks, you just have absolutely no hope of being able to do enough damage to it before it takes you out. And you can see that I have shots on the 477A on the enemy team, both of them, and their shots on the turret. So yeah, I just can't penetrate it because it's not a hitbox, and we're sat out here in the open. In any kind of main battle tank, I'd either try and get forward here and go hold down, or I'd race into position, but I can just take my time in this tank, kind of sit out in the open a bit. And even if there's some sneaky light tank or tank destroyer with ATGMs, I'm quite confident that if I sort of wiggle a bit, they're just going to bounce into my side armour. And now I'm in the centre of this ravine, and I'm very confident that I'm just sitting here. You have a secondary gun on a gun which is probably already good enough just to be a gun on its own. The accuracy is pretty horrific, I'm not going to lie, for an Era 3 tank with this 152mm. Base reload is around 12.6 seconds, aim time around 2.7 seconds, and accuracy around 0.35. But yeah, with a equipment and commander setup, you can improve that quite dramatically. And I had a look back, and I think I could figure out what I ran when I was playing this vehicle, because I didn't save the screenshots. But in case you are wondering, what did I run and what you could try running, maybe if you're struggling or if you just want to try and improve your damage numbers in this tank, I ran the advanced loader to improve the DPM, advanced powertrain, and traction system, I believe, to improve the mobility. Traction system also helping with the traverse speed of the hull, and because you have a limited 70 degrees to the left and right with your gun and your turret, that can really help you out in situations like this. And if you didn't want to run the traction system, I'd keep the advanced powertrain for the engine power and run maybe the advanced gun lay and drive to help the aim time out. And in terms of my commander skills, Sixth Sense, Born Leader, Rapid Loading, Steady Aim, Rapid Aim, Snapshot, Clutch braking to help with the whole traverse, armor angling to reduce the amount of damage as your main job in a tank destroyer. This one in particular is to brawl and track mechanic to get your tracks on. If you get tracked and people get around the side and rear, that is when you are your most vulnerable. Even then you still have a chance of bouncing, but that's what I run. And yeah, it's a pretty good setup. Some gun handling skills there, improving the gun, rapid loading to help the DPM, and 6th Sense and Born Leader are standard on every one of my commanders that have the full 9 skills. So we've already picked up 5.9k direct damage, blocked 1.3, still got nearly 3,000 hit points, and we got 267 assistance, and we're just going for it. You can see that on the move the accuracy is pretty horrendous, but it needs to have some kind of weaknesses because it is so damn good, and you see so many of them on the battlefield at the moment. Even this long after the tank was released, and you can just do things like this to poor MBT 70 premium tanks that haven't got enough penetration to really do anything to you, especially frontally. And now you can come over the top. This 477A is ammo wrapped, and I'm playing like a complete idiot. I'm skylining myself on top, I'm auto-aiming there, and it's just way too easy. And it's not just the fact that the armor is ridiculous, it's the fact that you have good firepower, 2 different firepower options, a nice slug of hit points, enough view range. You've got 900mm of penetration on your standard APF SDS. You also have HE with 180mm of pen for 980 damage. It's the whole kind of thing about this tank, and there are weak spots. When you have high caliber guns, you can see me there going right through the driver rail, right through the wheel arch, overmatching the side with this 152mm caliber gun. But a lot of tanks have those sort of 105, 120mm caliber guns, and they're not going to be able to overmatch, so they're going to have to go to the side, go to the rear. And it's okay in theory telling people to do that, but sometimes you just can't get to those situations on the battlefield. You have to try and fight frontally in some engagements, otherwise you just let them run rampant, as we did there on Chaobang in 4 minutes 45 seconds. Again, only a 3rd class with a high caliber, 11.5k direct damage, 1314 assistance, blocked 955, and 1 kill with a decent profit with or without a premium account. So that's it for the second gameplay. I'll talk to you more about this tank in the third gameplay, probably a little bit less moaning, more about what I'm doing on the battlefield. So we are into the third and final gameplay of today's video, and we are here on Nebelberg in the object 477A. We've spawned over here on the western side of the map, and we're going to use this tank destroyer's great mobility to get into a position in the castle area in the centre of this map, and try and push the centre, win the castle, and hopefully push towards a victory for our team. And you can see here the mobility is absolutely fantastic for a tank destroyer with such great armour. We can get into position really, really quickly, and when you are there, you are an absolute force to be reckoned with. And this vehicle is probably the first truly unanimously considered overpowered tank in the game. There are lots of tanks that, in my opinion, are unbalanced, but some people don't consider them overpowered. But I think most people that play Cold War, especially Era 3, will of course have come up against them or played them and just considers this to be absolutely overpowered. It pushes your gameplay results to beyond what you would consistently do in other vehicles, even very, very powerful vehicles. So after playing 42,000 battles of World of Tanks, or slightly over now, I kind of felt invincible in this tank, and a tank shouldn't make you feel like that. You should always have some kind of worry that some tank is going to outplay you in a certain way, and people can do everything right and still not be able to take you down because of the fact of your armor profile, because of the fact of your firepower, your hit points, and everything about this vehicle. And I went to look back when this tank was released. How much gold did they charge for the 477A? It was 15,900. So I think Wargaming knew what they were doing. I don't know how it got into the game in this state, but it looks like it's here to stay. Maybe it'll be nerfed in the future. So how do you play this vehicle? If you've got this tank and you want to try and just boost up your damage numbers even more, maybe you're trying to sort of 2-mark it or 3-mark it, or even get the first mark. Well, first off, when you see people aiming at the front of your tank, especially in tanks that have high caliber guns or higher than 121mm or higher, what you got to do is just wiggle the front of your tank. Try and keep it as straight as possible, but also wiggle so hopefully they hit your upper plate or hopefully they hit your tracks dead on. If you keep wiggling, it's very hard for people to actually aim correctly at your tank. And that's just basically what you do. If it's a high caliber gun that is aiming at you, try not to give them too much of your side, keep straight on, but for everyone else, you wiggle and just hope that they bounce off your upper hull, they bounce off your lower plate, they try and shoot your turret, which isn't a hitbox, and that keeps you in the game, and you just continuously rain fire. Be very aggressive in this tank, go to positions where there's lots of main battle tanks, highly contested areas, like here, the castle on Nebelberg, and just push your dominance on the enemy. With the great penetration, you can go through pretty much the front of every single thing you can come across. It truly is the absolute daddy. The only reason why I'm not pushing this particular scenario is because there's an enemy 477A on the hill directly in front of us, but we're getting assistance damage just by being in this position. And yeah, we've racked up a pretty nice amount of damage. We're sort of getting flanked now a little bit, so this is where the vulnerabilities start to come into play with the limited turret traverse of this tank destroyer from 70 degrees to the left and the right. And we popped our smoke. I carry the smoke screen. Most people would probably carry sort of the whole patch kit to improve your hardening and just sort of keep you in the game a bit longer and repair your hit points over time. However, I've decided the smoke screen can sometimes help you if people are shooting you from the side or if an ATGM comes at you. But that Wiesel try to go for the front of us. Maybe he's going for our tracks, just trying to move as much as possible to make it hard for him to actually get it into the tracks, overmatch our side with an ATGM. And yeah, we just absorbed one of the most dangerous tank destroyer ATGMs in Era 3, just by kind of staring him down and saying, nope, you're not going to pass. This is the sort of Gandalf with steel armor on of the wizarding world. This is absolutely insane, and I'm pretty sure they'll sell it again. Black Friday's around the corner, so who knows, but I'll probably pick it up again, just because I didn't collect it and I collect the tanks. But yeah, it's a very dirty tank. Don't feel bad for playing it. It's Wargaming Salt for putting it in the game, and it's now up to them to hopefully rectify a little bit of the mistake. I'm talking so much, I am starting to lose my voice, but yeah, eliminate their mistake by putting this tank in the game. So we've kind of contested this hill area. We fell back because we felt like we couldn't push the north, and then we just turned around and dealt with the tanks that are coming behind us. And we are sort of 5 minutes into this battle now, and we're still on our 3,750 hit points. We are down by one tank, but it doesn't really bother me too much. It's just now a case of trying to take out the enemy as quickly as possible before they take any more of our friendly tanks out. So going to have to start playing with the hit points a little bit more, which is absolutely fine to do when you have such a healthy slug. There are those tank destroyers, or the object 477A on the enemy team directly above us, so I'm just trying to keep moving as much as possible. Don't give them an easy shot into my side or through the drive wheel. And as soon as I know that I can kind of push this area, I'm going to just have to go for it or wait for the enemies to come to me. That heavy tank there tries to shoot our turret from the side, shoots our gun, wouldn't have penetrated anyway because there isn't a hitbox. The only chance you have of penetrating sort of the area with the gun and the 30mm autocannon is by hitting the turret ring, which again, over 600mm of armor, or 600mm of armor. So yeah, very, very dangerous tank to face, and you can just make full knowledge of that into your battles, bring it into your battles, and just sort of sit in front of your opponents and put the pressure on them, because every time you're putting a shot and you're continuously putting the pressure onto them, they're going to panic, they're going to try and run away, they're going to look for weak spots that just aren't there on this tank, and it allows you to use that time to absolutely rip them into shreds. So the thumper there's below us. I'm very aware that there's probably that Wiesel running around, might be trying to get an ATGM into the side of us. I'm backing up to this wall in case anyone tries to flank me, so no one can get right directly behind me. And now we're just going to be trying to put damage in on this thumper. He shoots us, and at the moment I feel like he's going to fire. Just going to quickly swivel my tank slightly to the left or right, and hopefully we can go bounce him straight off the front of our tank, which we are doing. Now there's a Challenger 2, full health coming at us. We are up by 3 tanks. How are we going to get out of this scenario? Well, we're going to put one into the Challenger 2 and kind of angle at 45 degrees as best as I can to both of these tanks. And there's not much they can do. They're just trying to get around me. And now we can put some rounds into all of these tanks in front of us to say, you know, bring it on. We are the stronger tank. there's nothing you can do. So the Challenger 2 at the moment is the bigger threat because he's coming after us, but we can one-shot this Thumper, so we take out the Thumper, and now we can turn our attention to this Challenger 2. Made a bit of a misplay here. I should have just backed up to the wall. However, he's just given up. He's given up doing any damage to us because he's the last one remaining, and he's just letting us free farm because there's nothing he could do. He couldn't do enough damage to us, couldn't penetrate us, so yeah, we get the 3 bits of damage at the end of the game. So if you're playing this tank, if someone's got a high caliber gun, above a 121mm caliber gun or higher, you want to try and give them just your front and try not to give them any angle on your side because they can overmatch. If they shoot your tracks from the front and you're dead onto them, there's no hole behind it so they can't penetrate it. However, if you're coming up against tanks that have lower caliber guns than 121, so 120 or below, just angle, sort of wiggle. There's not much they're going to be able to do to penetrate anyway, and if they do penetrate, it will be a very lucky penetrating round. Go hold down because they can't penetrate your turret. Be very, very aggressive. Improve your DPM and your gun handling and your durability in a battle, and you'll have fantastic results. But that's it for the game here on Nebelberg. We picked up a good profit with or at a premium account because there are some nice bonuses on this tank. It's 65% for silver, 10% for XP, 10% for commander XP. 3 kills, 11.7k direct damage, 3.2k assistance, and 4.2k blocked. And these shouldn't be games that I was having, you know, more often than not in this vehicle. This should be one of my games that I put up for a special showcase on YouTube because it took me a lot of thinking power. However, in this vehicle, it was just too easy. It's too overpowered. But yeah, it is what it is. So we'll see if they sell it again on the upcoming Black Friday, and we'll see whether Wargaming do nerf this video. Please let me know what you think of this vehicle down below in the comments. Was it a bit of an overreaction, what I just said in this video, or do you agree with my comments? Leave a like on the channel. It really helps the video and the channel out. And until next time, I'll see you on the battlefield, and bye for now.